proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Crunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, Season 2, Episode 28. Conor, it's that time of the week again. We're going to talk rallying, and what a reason to talk rallying this week.
Oh, look, fantastic news. Just amazing. We've two world champions. And you know, we had all fingers and toes crossed for William and Liam, and we certainly had to sweat it out.
Yeah, I know what it was like for me and you watching it. Like, God only knows what it was like for the two boys in the car. It must have been something else. But, you know, they kept the heads and, you know, they done what needed to be done, and brilliant. Couldn't be happier for them. Like, Wall's been on this podcast numerous times, and Liam's been on there a few times now as well. And two more genuine, nicer lads you couldn't have asked for.
Oh, look, you know, they're two stars. They really are two stars in the making. They've been working together for how many years now, and it's great to see everything coming together. You know, there's always this talk whenever we chat to the guys in the academy about having a plan, and definitely William and Liam had a plan, all right.
Yeah, and they executed it too. You know, like, yes, you know, the plan was probably had to be revised over the weekend because of the way the whole thing worked out. But they didn't get flustered. They didn't seem to get rattled by it. They just, they kept the calm. And I suppose a lot of that is coming from, the academy, the training they've got, how to deal with situations. And, as you say, two stars in the making.
Absolutely. And absolutely the training, but the two of them, their own personal attitudes, their own ability to cope with the pressure, and they really did cope with the pressure over the weekend. And there wasn't a hint of a crack or anything in that. They really did stay composed and level-headed and very mature in their approach.
Yeah, and then the way anybody that's seen any of the TV interviews or anything with Wall afterwards, the way he spoke, like this guy, it's from the heart, and it's so genuine. It's just it's so sincere the way he speaks.
Yeah, that's it. You're right. It is from the heart. And, his love, his passion for the sport. And again, in the year that it's been, his reflection on Craig is part of this as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's not all about him. He's just remembering. And, we talked to him here, in the podcast. And the way he remembers everybody that, helped right from the get-go. And the way he was thanking everybody that was been involved. And even everybody that messaged him over the last few days. Like, he's such a selfish character.
Absolutely, he is, and again, the two of them seem to be blown away by the amount of messages they were getting. So, it really did help lift and carry them at a time when it was quite tense for them.
For sure. It's like, so. Yep, that's brilliant. We've got two world champions. Following on from Brian Hoyle last year, it should be said as well too. So, like, we are on a roll. We beat the drum about how good Irish rallying is, and it's great to see it on a world stage.
Absolutely, it is, and again with the junior championship, we've Eamon with his fourth place in the championship as a driver, and Conor Mohan is third place as a co-driver. So, and again, more positive results.
Yeah, for sure. And so I suppose in this week's episode, we're supposed to better tell you who's all on. We have Wall and Liam, and we also have Conor. Eamon was supposed to join us, but Eamon got caught up in traffic. It's a whole adventure he's having. We also catch up with Chris O'Callaghan and Frank Kelly, who tells us all about the Escort Rally Special in Belgium. Gary Milligan from Omagh Motorclub tells us all about the upcoming Bushwhacker. And then to finish off, just a nice wee sort of feel-good story. Meirion Evans and James Williams tell us all about Rally Ceredigion and just their thoughts behind it, and it's hopefully elevation to the ERC as well. But we caught up with Wall and Liam and Conor. They weren't long home. They were only just kind of getting their feet beneath them again. And to hear the story of how the weekend panned out was just fantastic, really, wasn't it?
It was an amazing story, and it hadn't really sunk in with them. I'm, when the people listening to this now will see, it's still, it hasn't sunk in what they've managed to achieve genuinely, and it comes through, and the stories are great. And just to say, Eamon's caught up in traffic. It's not just any ordinary traffic. Eamon is in the middle of Italy trying to return a recce car. So
Yeah, I'll say there's a book on this before this is all done, but I think without further ado, I think we'll catch up with the three boys. Not often I'm going to get a chance to say this, but I'm delighted to be joined by two world champions, Creighton and Regan. What a weekend, lads. You had us in the edge of the seats. For us, watching, I don't know what it was like in the car. Well, it must have been hairy on Friday morning.
Yeah, to be honest, the rally started really well on Thursday night with the Super Special in Athens, and last year that was class because we were in the Olympic Stadium and it was just filled with thousands of people. And then this year we were out in the streets and there was huge crowds again. So we got the stage win there just about. So that was a nice start to the rally to get a point, and I suppose in a way it maybe threw the pressure on to Lauren a little bit then, just a nice way to start the rally. And we had targeted that as well. We did a little bit of tarmac testing on the gravel setup before we went, just to get into that feeling. So that was a nice start for us.
And sorry, Liam, from your point of view, Wald talked about doing the prep there. Bishop's Court, I think, wasn't it? I seen the car sliding about last week, and to put that kind of thought into it, like we've talked before, the amount of prep that goes on that we never see before and during an event. It's nice to see it all come together, for something even like that, to get that point. That was a good putting the base down, I suppose, for the tone of the weekend.
Yeah, we tested the car on tarmac, on broken concrete and tarmac. Jim Cruiser actually organised it. He's been very helpful since our Junior 1000 days. And, we did that because you've got to try and work every angle. Every stage, funny enough, in the JWRC counts. So, yeah, that's one aspect of the preparation we did for the Acropolis. But, the amount of preparation that goes into these events, and you don't see 90% of it. It's the late nights, the very, very early mornings. On Sunday there, I think we're up at 5 a.m. to go over everything again. Okay, there's the fitness and the mental preparation that you do as well, which we'll have a lot of support for. But yeah, so much preparation goes into, one rally, never mind the whole season.
Yeah, Conor?
Yeah, I know we've jumped straight in there to mention Friday, but even the build up to the rally, the heavy rains, the weather, the recce being disrupted, no shakedown. Was that a distraction for you? Did it take away from, or did it add to the nerves, Liam, in the build up to the rally?
Honestly, it was a nightmare. It was Monday started okay, but then the rest of the recce was just very difficult. Storms, rocks falling off mountains, going into stages thinking not too sure we'll get through this in this car. And the proper recce car, it was good, but there's people getting stuck. And then I think the fire service wouldn't let us complete one of the passes because the weather was so bad. So you were getting into your accommodation that night and waiting to hear whether you would go out the next day and when you could go in, which from a co-driver's point of view, us co-drivers would have a total meltdown over that. You don't know what's happening. Shakedown being cancelled, so you don't get to check the car. Honestly, it was probably the most disjointed, interrupted week we've ever had. It's just what we didn't need. But, you just got to get through it. Everyone was in the same boat. We worked well with the other crews and we tried to piece the recce together. I mean, as William will tell you, it was even hard to keep the car on the road during the recce. Never mind make pace notes. So we're just hoping that the storm would pass and we'd get something on paper and we could, start the rally with a good set of notes.
And, Liam alluded there to, how difficult the conditions were for making the notes. I mean, when the rally got underway, could you actually have faith and trust in the notes? Did you feel they were accurate, or were you hesitant?
We had to do a lot of work we always have to do a lot of work, but particularly on this rally, we spent so long going through the notes on the recce footage, and the weather was that bad in some of the stages that I actually went to use old footage that I had from the recce last year on the stages that we had done before, because at least you could see the road. But it wasn't ideal, and the conditions that we had in the rally then were a lot different. So some of the stages looked completely different, but yeah, it wasn't ideal, but the notes were actually better than I thought, and I think a lot of that was down to having to do so much work. I mean, usually before we start the rally, we've been over every stage that we've recce'd on the onboard, and this rally we maybe only had Friday done before we started the rally, so it meant then when we went into Saturday that we had to do all of those stages, and it made it another late night and an early morning. But yeah, I guess the only positive from stopping on Friday was that we could get the recce footage sorted before we started on Saturday. But of course, that wasn't the plan.
And what do you call it? Liam mentioned there, about the physical side of things in the preparation and the fitness levels and stuff. Like, you pushed the car for what, about 3 kilometers or something, like in the heat of Greece and in your rally suits and all the rest of it. Like, that must have been tough going.
Yeah, it was definitely warm. I don't know if it was just as long as 3 kilometers, but yeah, we definitely had to push the car from whenever we got to the stop line. It actually just died completely, and it did restart, but it didn't sound great. So we knew we had a tire zone, so we didn't want to drive really the car at all. But there were some hills that it was impossible. So mixture of freewheeling, driving the car a little bit, and then pushing it into the tire zone is what we had to do. And looking back on it now, it was really important not to drive the car unnecessarily, and then we had something to work with for the rest of the weekend. So yeah, I guess looking back on now, it fell together just the way we needed to for it to work for us.
And Liam, Friday evening, what was the mood in the camp? How did you settle things? How did you keep William focused, concentrated, all the rest of it?
There was no need to keep William focused and motivated. Like, we knew that the team would do everything they could to get us back in the rally. So whilst they were doing a lot of work to the engine, we were doing a lot of work on the pace notes. So there was no need to sort of go looking for motivation. We were still in the fight, and as it says on the door, never give up. So we just had to believe in the team, and just get back to it for Saturday morning.
And Saturday morning, you probably couldn't believe it when Laurent went out. And I think at that stage, you were provisionally ahead by a point in the championship. Like, all to play for. How do you balance out, particularly somewhere as rough as Greece, going full out for the stage wins against gambling, the survival and keeping the car to make sure you get to the finish?
Yeah, it was. I suppose the pressure was off one way on Saturday morning because we had to go for stage wins, but yeah, of course we couldn't be stupid, and we had to protect the car at the same time. But we could push a little bit more and didn't need to be as careful as we were on the first 2 stages on Friday. And then obviously when we got to the end of the first stage on Saturday, we saw Laurent was in bother, and then we were back to we need to get our car to the finish of the day now to make that gap up. But we also need the stage win points. So probably the worst position you want to be in Greece with how rough it is. But we got into actually a really good rhythm on Saturday, and it was enjoyable. And I think Liam said earlier about one of the stages on Saturday afternoon, everything just clicked, and we had a fastest stage time by 25 seconds or something like that. And I think that's one of the best stages we've actually had, and that was one of the most important ones. We got the stage win point, and I think that made the gap big enough that it couldn't be closed by Diego.
And the double points really came into play, and I suppose you had to keep a watch on everybody, and suddenly out of nowhere Diego was kind of the man to be keeping an eye on and trying to make sure you beat. Like, did your strategy change at all? Did you have a plan? Did the plan change, come Saturday, or was it just as you were?
I think the strategy was changing all the time. As Liam said, John Coyne was in service, and he was keeping an eye on how the championship was looking, because it changed after every stage because of the stage win point. So it was important to know where you were and how things were standing, because if you went into this stage that you didn't need the championship point, then it was important just to make sure you could do everything to look after the car, because we were so far behind the next competitor that we were never going to make that time up on stage time. So if you didn't need the stage win, you just drove through and protected the car. So at least we always knew what position we were in, and if we had to push, then we would do it.
And you see, they take, you said that you won the stage by 25 seconds, like, and you're driving carefully with with the grease conditions in mind. Like, is that just everyone clicks that you're in the zone and it almost becomes like at one with all the conditions with the car, or is it like, are you pushing that up to the limit there related to that kind of time out?
Yeah, I don't think. Okay, we were probably careful not to crash, but that was probably the only care we drove over. Pretty much everything else, and okay, it was one of the cleaner stages in the rally, so it was a little bit less risky, but no, it was fairly fast, and there wasn't much left, and it was perfect from both sides of the car. So I think that was the stage, was it, that we had with 3 hards and one soft on the back of the car. So it was nice on some corners, and then some of the other faster corners you had to be really careful because the back of the car just wanted to slide around itself with a soft tire overheating. So yeah, it's never straightforward, but that was definitely one of the more enjoyable stages, and I think the time showed.
And Liam, like before the rally started, was that one of the stages you were looking at, thinking this is where we can kind of put, we can put a bit more of a push on for that stage, knowing it's that wee bit cleaner and a wee bit less rough?
Yeah, well, we had done that stage last year, but it was in the opposite direction. So, in the preparation for the event, we looked at the different sort of sectors or the different splits of the stage. And we knew that the last 4K or 5K after you turn off the main road, that's where John Armstrong and Robbie Verbe's got a puncture last year. So, we knew that we had to, if we were going to take time, it would be before that. Because on that stretch of the stage, we had to come back a bit and look after the tyres because we knew the puncture risk was higher. So, yes, we did probably pick that one to have a good go on. There's a lot of downhill hairpins, and when you would look after the brakes at a certain point of the stage, then you can push on the faster flowing stuff and then get to the last 4K and look after it on the way down the hill. The last corner is like a square right on the tarmac and then square left. I remember thinking on the recce, I'll be really glad to see them trees at that square right because I knew it would be a bit of a toboggan run down the hill. Like. But no, you've got to go into that level of detail to make sure you have everything covered. Like.
Yeah, and Conor, from your point of view, like Eamon was supposed to be with us tonight, but unfortunately he was unable. But you always talked about, you go to an event now with a plan, you have to stick to the plan no matter what. Was it a case of that over the weekend?
Yeah, we had a plan before we went to the event. We knew what the history of the event was going to be like, and it was going to be rough and it was going to be tough, especially for us being our first year there. But we had a plan that we stuck till from the start of the event, and it paid off for us, thankfully. But it was just all about the experience for us, really.
Yeah, and like, was it everything you heard about and read about? The boulders and the big rocks and everything there to catch you out. Was it all you expected?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely all that. There was actually some places of some of the stages that actually was fairly smooth enough, like, and we were actually shocked at times, like, but no, the rough sections were definitely rough now. There's no doubt about that. You had to mind the car.
Mm-hmm. And like, from your point of view, like, you were seeing what was happening to the guys around you, but it was all just a matter of keeping the head, stick with what we're, there's no point of being silly here trying to do, overstep the mark. Just stick to the plan for the evening Saturday, and things, like your man was starting to have power steering issues and one thing and another. It was just, we're going to drive our rally here.
Yeah, we knew that if we stuck to the plan, well, we wouldn't be too far away, hopefully, from a podium. And whenever we got to Saturday evening, we were nearly one of the only ones that hadn't really had a problem, really. And I was nearly thinking to myself, what is there something going to happen here, or what is going to happen to us, really? But yeah, no, it was. Yeah, we were just trying to keep our noses clean for as long as possible, and that's what we done until Sunday morning.
and like Sunday morning, like, it was very early into the stage, wasn't it? The gearbox broke with you.
It was actually, like, I think it was 3 kilometers into the stage, and I had sort of heard a bit of a noise sort of coming vaguely, but I just kept my mouth shut and I just never said anything. And then Eamon started to say that the drive was starting to go now and again, and I was just trying to think of what it could be, and he kept going on, to be fair, and he just kept going and going, and it was getting worse, and I didn't really know what to think. because I was trying to think of what it was, and we just kept going and going. We got to the end of the stage, and when I opened the bonnet, now it wasn't pretty.
And like, what is the thoughts process? Is it we need to get this sorted, or is that sort of us out of the rally, or does
Well,
your instinct kick in that get this thing somewhere or other?
well, we just said like we weren't, not unless the car stopped driving, we weren't for like we were going to keep going on as long as we could. And whenever I opened the bonnet first and looked in, there was oil everywhere, like, and I just didn't know really know what to think. But we actually drove on ahead. We closed the bonnet and just went on ahead down the road another bit, and I rung back into service and we're talking to a couple of boys, and we sort of got it back out again, then took a picture and sent it to them and showed them the big hole, and then we sort of messaged back and forth, and we said we'll try and see can we maybe strap it up some way or try and hold it together. And we just got before the refuel zone and we pulled in along the side of like a dual carriageway, and we managed to get a strap around the whole bottom of the gearbox, took the wheel off and get the strap around the bottom of it and up around the whole box, and just tightened it up. And just literally there was no oil in the box at this stage, like there was zero oil, and all we had was engine oil. So I just kept putting a small bit of engine oil because I only had so much of it, and I had to get through the next stage and go the road section and back. And we still had, I think from the refuel to that stage was another 30 odd K, and then do the stage and then the service. So I had only, I think, like a little over a litre of oil maybe to survive. So it didn't like the engine oil, but it worked for us.
It was better than nothing.
Yeah, but then, by the time we got back to service, we only had one gear left. Like, we got till actually just before the bay, and we had third gear. That's all we had left. So it was. So yeah, we were lucky.
Very lucky indeed, and a good bit of ingenuity with the ratchet strap.
Yeah, here it was one of them things. It was either going to work or it wasn't, and I was. They were actually all them sport mechanics were so shocked that we actually made it back to service with the ratchet strap still intact, holding it. It was getting worse as we were. Liam will tell you that, like the road section down till from off that last stage to service was all downhill, like, and only for it being downhill that we could let the car freewheel along. I don't think we would have. It wouldn't have gone up any more hills anyway. So it wouldn't have.
Liam, on Sunday there, am I right in thinking final stage was stopped before you guys made to it? You got onto that stage. What did you know then at that point you had the championship, or was it still you were waiting for it all to be calculated? And
when we arrived at the stage, it was live, so we were in the queue, and then the stage was red flagged. So the marshals were in the controls, so everybody was clocked into the TC. We're all on a hill, so we're all waiting to get into the stage. Stage went live, then was red flagged again, so there's more cars, and we were all sitting on this hill. And everybody was out, helmets off, all having good crack. We knew, like, I think it was 9K that stage, 9K to go. We just wanted it over. Like, we were just, we knew that we had, William's family and friends at the end of the stage at the stop line. So all this was set up, like, and William goes, the worst thing could happen now is somebody's handbrake lets go and all these cars roll down the hill. That was all dead funny and everybody laughed, and about 5 minutes later we hear this almighty bang. That was Diego's car had let go and ran into our car. And the panic set in about our radiator. Everyone was down looking at it, making sure it was okay. And luckily it wasn't sabotage, it was just an accident. But that's genuine. That's actually what happened. It was funny after we worked out the car was okay. Like. But no, we didn't know. So we thought we were going to go into the stage still. And then there was a Skoda on the start line, and he was turned, and it was the most surreal feeling because whenever this first Skoda was turning, heading back towards us, I just said to William, right, well, get the helmets in the boot there. We need to sort this out. There was no big. It didn't sink in right away that we'd done it, like. And then the other competitors, they came over and congratulated us. And then we got into the car, and I turned to William and was like, well, we've actually done it then. It was a bit of nearly an anticlimax, but we're still delighted to get it. Like.
I was going to say, William, did you feel a bit cheated? You didn't just get to, to do the final kilometers, get down to the finish line, get down to the family?
Of course, it would have been nice, but to be honest, you see the way that whole week went, I didn't know what was coming next, so I was just happy to call it a day and just drive back to service. And I mean, like the way the car sounded on Friday, and for it to then be fixed and go through the next 2 days, and you know the temperatures, the hills, the altitude, just even knowing that I had to still drive it back to service, so I was just wanted to get that done and get into the final control and know that everything was done and okay. But yeah, I didn't really care what way it came on Sunday as long as we got the job finished off.
And when or how was it confirmed to you that you definitely had it?
Like I think we knew that we just had to get through the stage. So whenever the stage was cancelled, we knew we just had to get back to service. And really, as soon as we returned and that was the stage was confirmed to be stopped, then you know the messages started coming in and it was confirmed on, you know, by the WRC on online and things like that. So I think from then both Liam and I's phone hasn't stopped. So it's a big thank you actually to everyone who has messaged. You know, you forget how many people are watching, and I try to reply to everyone that I can, and it's just a big thank you to everyone who's wished us, you know, support and success. And I think they're all genuinely happy that we were able to get the job done.
Yeah, no, excellent result. And Conor, you ended up third place co-driver overall in the championship. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually I didn't even realize it until I came into the final control at the finish ramp, and John Kine came over and shook my hand, and I was like, he says congratulations on your podium in the championship, and I was like, right, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't think until then when I realized then that Laurent not changed navigator through the middle of the year, and that's what got it for me. So.
And yourself and Eamon, you had the win in Croatia, you had the second place then in Greece. Like, was that beyond expectation for the first year, or was that kind of where you thought or hoped you'd be getting something similar to that?
We really had no expectations for this year. It was just really get the experience, and hopefully the results would come. And yeah, we were very, very happy with how it all went so far this year, and the results that we got, definitely.
Yeah.
And like,
sorry,
Liam, like, you know, we talked before we started recording, this is your 10th season sitting with Wall, you know, like that Junior 1000, we C1 back in 2014, like, you were brought in for a couple of rallies to help him find his feet. Did you ever imagine that you'd be world champion in a few years' time?
It's pretty surreal, you know, if you think about it like that, Kevin. I remember heading to the first stage, and I think I've told William this story before. The car was driven into the service bay, and the first thing we had to do was reverse out of the service bay to head the first stage. You couldn't reverse the car out of the service bay, and I'm thinking, how's this going to go? Like, if we can't get out of service, how's the first stage going to go? So, we've come from there to the World Championship. So, you know, it gives, you know, it's a good news story. It shows people that it can happen. Now, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of resources and a lot of support, and there's so many things have to be aligned for that to happen. But there's a clear path from Junior 1000 into the Rally 4 category, Rally 3. You know, there is steps the whole way up there. And as we said at the start, you know, like Irish rallying's maybe had it tough for, say, the last 12 months. And hopefully this is something that gives everybody, you know, something to smile about, or a bit of a smile on their face. So yeah, and no, in answer to your question, probably didn't think that. Whenever William's father said, right, well, that's the J1000 done, we're going to go to the Tarmac Championship. I remember saying to Niall's father, you know, now I'm not really a co-driver, like, but I'll maybe get him started in these 208s and then, you know, maybe duck out. That's okay. And then we got to the British Championship, and we sort of, with great battles with Callum Devine and with Josh, and sort of thought, right, well, like, if we get the BRC, that'll maybe do me. Like, I still think I'm a driver somewhere, like. And then we went to ERC in Rome, and then Rome after the ERC stuff went to WRC, and I laugh with Johnny Greer. I keep telling Johnny Greer I'm still not a co-driver, and he texts me on Sunday after the rally and he says, I think that makes you a co-driver now. So, no, I didn't think it, but it's just a great story. Like.
Yeah, like, and as you say, like, the pyramid's there for any young person starting out now, and like we've seen that, you know, with your likes of yourself, you know, the guys that has come through that, and it's like Ken White's another guy that used to racing in those early days. That, you know, he's now almost certain to be, you know, junior British rally champion now this year. The structures are in place. Never mind the MI Rally Academy, which is taking things to a whole other level as well. And Liam, for you to see that from the inside, it must be fascinating just to see what the platform that these guys are getting.
Yeah, we're living in such a purple patch here of young drivers in Irish rallying, and you've got to thank John Coyne and Sean McHugh and the Motorclub Ireland Rally Academy. Like when I was rallying, long ago, like there wasn't these opportunities. There probably wasn't even the class structure that there is now, and you've got to sort of commend the FIA for putting that in place as well. So yeah, I mean the opportunities are there, but all these drivers, Eamon and Conor, they're putting in the effort as well. You'll not show up to these rallies and beat the foreign people and be on the pace right away. What Eamon's done this year is really impressive. Not too many people get a win in a second in their first year. Whenever William and I started in JWRC, I had Sammy Piari and John Armstrong, and those people really raised our game. John was very helpful at the beginning, sort of showing us what it takes at that level. And then the time started to get a bit similar, so his help maybe wind back a wee bit as the keeping more about. But the platform's there, the class structure's there. It's a great time, and hopefully, as you say, Kyle Whitewell, who's very fast as well. We raced Kyle for long enough in the 208s, so hopefully he'll get that job done, and that's another title to put in Ireland.
For sure. And well, as Liam says, it's been a dark few months, for Irish rallying. To have such a positive, good news story, and to see yourselves featured in the RTE News and BBC News, and it's great to see rallying making the headlines for all the good reasons as well.
Yeah, it is nice. Liam touched on it there. It's been difficult with everything that's happened the last 12 months. So, I think from all the messages that I'm getting, people are definitely, it's put a smile on their face. So, it's an honour for me to be named and Liam that, in amongst some of the guys that have won this championship. And, obviously it's particularly nice with what happened to Craig. So, he'll never be replaced, and his character was unique in the WRC, but just to be mentioned alongside him and what he did is an honour. But yeah, for sure, it's a good story, and I hope that it brings a smile to a lot of people back home.
Yeah, because he was champion the junior 1000 category. He was there a couple of days before his untimely death. He was there supporting them young guys, and for you that you've come from that category to be world champion shows that live your dream.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. As Liam says, there's a pathway there. Now, I don't think it was never a target for us from the very beginning that we wanted to be this, win this championship. One thing led to another, but there was a clear pathway to see how we could go there, and we knew what the best step was to take after each championship. And yeah, we found ourselves in the WRC then, and we knew that when we started there the first year, it was all going to be about trying to learn and build our pace, and then come back. And if we could have another rattle at it, then we might be closer to the top. And that's the way it worked out. And I suppose going into this year, it was definitely a target to win the championship, but we had to win rallies first. We had to win stages, and it's a long road. And we've seen John Armstrong, how close he got, and we know how fast he is, and it just shows how difficult the championship is, and you have to have a bit of luck. And for sure on Saturday, whenever Lauren had his misfortune and then we were able to catch up in Diego, things did fall our way, and we had to win stages and do the right thing as well. But you need a bit of luck as well.
And Conor, back to yourself and Liam, and as Conor touched on earlier, this, you just want with no expectations. You've talked about this being a 2-year program. Does this give you great hope going into next year? You see what the events hold, you see what needs to be done, and you've got a flavour for it. Are you so keen now to get back at it again now next year?
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to getting back and going back to hopefully some of the rallies that we done this year, that hopefully is going to be on the calendar next year, and it gives us hopefully a bit of a step among the other ones to be a wee bit ahead, hopefully, and that our pace will be there a wee bit sooner on the weekend of the event. Definitely.
And Conor, doesn't you want to add there?
Yeah, just from William and Liam, from your point of view, have you started to think what 4 events you're targeting next year, or is it you haven't even got to that point yet? It's still sinking in.
I think we're still celebrating and haven't got to that point yet, but I know obviously it plays in your mind even before you win the championship, that what if scenario. So I'm not sure, to be honest. There's nothing in place obviously yet, and we get the 4 drives with M Sport and the WRC2, and you get tires to support that as well. So it's a great prize, to have that opportunity. So we need to sit down now and see what way we want to go forward, and what rallies we'd like to do, and try and get some things put in place.
And then I suppose to finally start wrapping up, Liam, you wake up Monday morning. Is there like a wee special tingle thinking, I'm a world champion now?
I woke up on Monday morning and I just made sure I hadn't dreamt it, I just pinched my arm. That definitely happened, didn't it? So, no, it was a great feeling. And as William said earlier on there, the amount of people that text during the rally, before the rally, after the rally, the Irish rally community is so supportive. Like we've seen it, on the stages with the flags and all that, but the amount of people that get in touch and words of support it really helps. Like whenever your eyes are hanging out of your head at 5 a.m. reading pace notes, it does help. Like, so yeah, we're very grateful for all the support with the MI Rally Academy and John Coyne as well. So many people contribute to putting this together and helping us do what we've just done. So, it's full credit to them, and we're just delighted that we're able to get the job done for them.
Yeah. And I think, well, last word to you. I think your social media post was, we did a thing or something like that there, Like, the thing is pretty special. Like, is it real now?
Yeah, it'll take a few days for it just to seem like reality, but I've been busy with lots of people texting and calling and podcasts and things like this. So it's it's nice to have a good story to talk about, and yeah, it is really good. And I just have to reiterate the amount of people sending messages. It's a big thanks. It's quite overwhelming, to be honest. And like I said earlier, you don't realize how many people are watching, and for them to get genuine joy out of a good result, it's nice. And for all the people who are part of my team, and as Liam said, the Motorsport Ireland Academy, Marcus, DGM, Race and Rally, all the guys who have supported me, the TT Bistro for some support back home to prepare for the WRC. There's loads of guys there that you can't do it without, and it's just nice. It's as nice for them as it is for me to return the favor and get the job done. So it's great.
So thanks there to the 3 boys. I hope Will and Liam are still partying yet. Like that was the last round of the JWRC as well there at the weekend. So, but as the sideshow was, there's still a few rounds of the main WRC left. Kelly Rubin-Pera once again showing how the class act he is. Looks as if there's another title in the cards there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's inching closer. He's pretty much a sure bet now at this stage. Grace had its difficulties before the rally, and turned out to be a tough event on all of the cars except Roving Pairs really, and Danny Sordo had a fairly clean run, but everybody else had some sort of issue at some point. And it's not often we see Sebastian Ogier, have the difficulties that he did either.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like it was, as you said, the lead up to the event, there was even it looked as if we were going to lose stages with the conditions, one thing, And in fairness to the organisers, most events or most of the stages run, maybe some of them were shortened in one thing or another, and some of them were maybe lost halfway through. But in general, they pulled together well at the finish up.
They did. No, all credit to the organisers. Like, Greece pretty much was in turmoil last week with the amount of rain. I saw, was it some ridiculous figure, like 3 years worth of rain fell in 24 hours or 48 hours. So it was something, crazy. Mm-hmm. Luckily, the region where the rally wasn't as badly affected, but it was more the disruption to the recce and to the actual shakedown was cancelled. But 1 or 2 of the stages were shortened, but really on a whole it didn't impact too badly on the actual event itself when it got running.
Excellent. And then also last weekend we had the Escort Rally special in Belgium. This rally looks absolutely fantastic. Every year it seems to be getting better and better. And the Irish seem to have really taken it to their heart. Frank Kelly, I think, was one of the first over there to champion, back 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's every year it seems to be getting more and more popular. And, it looks like a tremendous event. I think it has to be on the bucket list there. Chris O'Callaghan, beat Frank. It's, the 2 boys will tell you more about it, but it seemed to be a brilliant weekend's crack. And And fair play to all the Irish crews that made the effort to go over there, and by the sounds of how well they were treated by the organisers and all over there. That's to me what rallying should be all about, is going and enjoying the event and seeing, getting taken into the middle of the town and enjoying the whole atmosphere. It sounded absolutely fantastic. I have to say, as I said earlier, it's on the bucket list for. But anyway, without further ado, we'll hear from Chris and Frank. Belgium weekend, Chris, victory number 1 under the belt. I'll say you're over the moon with that result.
Yeah, the emotions did flare now, to be honest, and we got over the finish. We had a tough year so far, and it took a lot to get the last hurdle, and even the Sunday wasn't easy for us, but thankfully we just got the last bit of a push in, and we took the victory.
Yeah, and the smaller man, Frank Kelly, didn't give it to you easy either. He pushed you all the way.
No, for ages I was caught between the two pensioners. There was one pensioner in front of me and one behind me, between my old boy and Frank. But no, look, that was great racing, great slagging all weekend. But even all year long, myself and Frank have been racing throughout the country. We've been seated one behind each other all year long, and the bad manners going on between us. He's there like a father to me now at this stage. We've been going to rally. He'd be looking after me. And Emma Kelly, he gave me a booster pack, try to get me to get an overall finish, and just didn't work out for me and Emma Kelly. So, in fairness to Frank and them, they're very good to me over the year, and it was nice to get a race with them at the end, and it was nice to pip him then at the end as well.
So, Father Frank then?
Father
Frank.
Yeah.
Me.
You've been going over now to the Belgium, or the Escort rally special now in Belgium since it started. It keeps getting better and better every year.
It does, but
yeah.
Can I just put this out here? I take no responsibility for Christopher Callahan whatsoever. and anything he might say. Listen, the Escort Special, I've been going since the start. This is the 5th year I've been there, I think. It missed obviously a year in the COVID thing, but it has grown. Like from the first year I went, it was a single stage done 4 times. Now, fair enough, it was 25-kilometre stage, but it's grown from that to now what, I can't remember, was it 13 or 14 stages there at the weekend, including super specials, and just unbelievable, fantastic stages, great atmosphere, has a serious following. There's lads coming there with cars, obviously, from all over Europe, Spain, Italy, France, Holland, Germany, Belgium itself, UK, Ireland, and crowds coming from all over the place too, which is great to see. A lot of different languages, which I don't understand, obviously, but just great to see. A lot of youngsters as well, which was nice to see as well. But it's unbelievable. We were saying, I can't think of another mark, that you could run just that car and have a full entry, make it sustainable. People have tried it with different things and Porsches and stuff, and, they get half a dozen or a dozen cars. I can't remember, with the demo category and everything, there was 80 or 90 cars roughly started that event, all Escorts. Just phenomenal. And yourself, when people rock up there, they're not just coming to see what this is all about. They're coming because they're Escort rear-wheel drive old school fans.
Yeah, and Chris, as Big Frank says, this was a proper rally. Good stages, and this whole thing about Belgian rallies, they bring rallying to the people. That's the service areas in the middle of the town. It's a real family vibe about it though. That must be a great buzz. You must get a buzz off that too whenever you're out there competing.
Unbelievable. Even there, Saturday night and even Sunday afternoon when you were back into the town, even on the stages, the crowds were massive along the roads, and even in the service park there was a lot of people there. And actually, one thing, there was a lot of Irish flags along the way, so there was actually a good few from home to support us, which is a very good thing. Actually, in one corner where actually Frank ran wide there was an Irish flag in there. I think I brought it away with me and all. They were hanging it from every kind of an angle. It was great to see it.
Yeah, and the amount of Irish crews it was over, there must, it was unbelievable. And that's great to see it being so well supported, because we know how much we love our Escorts here, and to see guys going en masse over to Belgium and to fly the flag so well. You won, Frank was second, and your dad was 7th, and your mum was 9th or 10th, wasn't she, to finish up as well?
Yeah, but she's the tough one of the house, you see. So you can never rule her out. To be fair, no, Dad was having a fantastic run. He was up to 3rd overall, but he just slid wide and a hairpin left and broke a wheel, so that put him out of the running for the podium. But he was having a great drive. It was just all he wanted to do was get a finish, and because he wasn't having a great last 12 months since his last real rally he done was there. So all he wanted to do, he was more interested in getting me to the finish. He was on about pulling and pushing me through the whole rally. And I kept getting crossed, and I was like, "You just finish your own rally. I get my own rally to the end." He's just not wise.
Yeah, but I suppose he is trying, he's giving you advice and one thing and another, but at the same time, you have to drive your own event as well.
Exactly, but it's lovely to see. It's lovely to see mother, father, and son in such a competitive sport, and to be able to compete. It's great. It's an honor to be, as a team together and go as a family and do this kind of a thing.
Yeah, and like Frank, you've Lauren sitting with you. You know that whole family thing. Rosebery's one of your biggest supporters as well too. Like that, at the end of the day, you know that Malcolm Walsh's not going to be ringing you this evening. Geez, you had a great run there at the weekend, lad. Come on, sign for us. You know how important it is to go out, have a bit of fun, but to do it with the people around you that you care most about. That's a wee bit special.
It's actually incredible. I know exactly what Chris is saying there about having the family involved and everything, and us, Kevin, me and Rosemary and Lauren rock up, and that's it. That's it, and we do our thing. And I got that friggin' odd over the years. It's probably the way it's always going to stay, But it's something special, and to see we had one moment, and we had plenty of moments in the rally, but we had one thinking moment where on a road section, you look in the mirror and you see Chris right behind us, and you see Rob behind him, and then you see Ed, and you just go, there's 3 or 4 real good hard hitting Irish escorts, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the road, driving through the countryside in Belgium, and you can tell that the lads out there, are all, they call them the fire breathing monsters from Ireland, and they just are living for it. They're so in awe of the stupid shit we do. It's great to get a chance to go out there and do that, and I found that a lot of places I go, they have an odd historic escort, and that's about the height of it, or maybe something very basic. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of basic stuff out there, but there's plenty of hard hitting stuff too. But it's nice that it's Irish stuff that are leading the way. And apart from Francois Dovel, I think he's the only non-Irishman that's won that yet. So that's good to see that we can still lead the way in escorts, if it's nothing else.
For sure.
Be nice to bring him back actually and give him a good race.
I wouldn't see the way we would go. Like I've matured as a driver since that.
That's very debatable.
Yeah, I was glad of that recorded.
Like Chris, you brought me on since we started running close to each other on these rallies this year. You brought me on a bit. You've actually calmed me down and shown me the way forward.
I'm trying to tutor you. Not going well.
I'm fucked, boy.
You see, you're bringing out his paternal instincts in him. You see, you're getting more mature, more settled. This is what it is,
Yeah. All bullshit aside, the battle that we and Chris and JJ and Lauren with me, the battle we had the weekend was just one of the best battles I've had in numerous years. And I've had some fair battles down the years, as you know, Kevin. But there was no inch given, no inch asked for. But we both wanted to get to the end and see each other get to the end. It was going to be no good if any of us dropped out. And it was great to get down to the finish line. And I could not have been happier to see them lads get that victory, because hard earned that day, hard earned all year. Chris has had bad luck all year in lots of places where things went wrong that out of your control. Nobody's fault, just shit happens. And to see it all come together, and his mum and dad there and everything and all, and the fight, and the 3 of them in the top 10, like, Jesus, where could you see it? Where could you see it? In what sport? Where could you see that happen? And be that competitive. It's just it's great for Irish rallying, I think. And it was great. Like, we came through the airport in Dublin there this evening, and the whole MI crew were waiting for us with the big banners and everything. It was fantastic. Then we realised it was for William Creighton. Nothing to do with us.
You set the bar very high. You'll be expecting that now to get off the ferry.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'd just move this because Chris was coming behind us, but the answer no.
But Chris, like as Frank says, you've had a difficult, few months now with rallying. You've had a lot of problems and one thing and another. To see it all finally come good and get that one under your belt, like, It's been a long time coming, but is it like a big pressure off your shoulders now?
No, sure, it's only more keen to go and try win more and progress on. And sure, the first one's always the hardest, and it's always a case of it just makes you more hungry and just want to get going and go again.
And like you say now, the hunger's on you for more. Like, is this the one now? This is the first one, but the next rally now will be the fast net or whatever now coming up in a few weeks. Will it be going out there? Right, I've done this before. I can do it again.
No, it's just get back at the modified race again and just try race what's there. There's at the end of the day, there's 25 drivers in Ireland that are well match fit to be anywhere inside. Could win the modified any races, as Frank could tell you there too. So there's a lot of fast lads, and just to get back in and get racing with them, and hopefully try start back up at the top of the game here at home too as well. Like, even though we've been kind of on and off the pace all year at home, but just Omagh and a couple more rallies, stupid problems, and Port and there's a couple of more rallies that put me out of the running, just out of my control. But look, I'm still young. I'm only 25 years of age, and like with Frank there, he's 65 now, shoving on, and we've hopefully a lot more
75. 75. I just look 65.
They're having a giant 65th birthday for Eddie and Frank there next week.
Yeah. Turns out Eddie is a bit to catch up on me.
It's even scarier. But like, Frank, whenever you were 25, like, to be something like a 2.5 Millington must have been like the pipe dream almost. Like, Chris is living the dream now at this stage, isn't it?
If I had been sat in a Millington at 25, I'd have killed everybody around me and myself. And you know that.
You're still doing it at 57.
I could still do that. I could still do that. I am in awe at lads like Chris that can handle that, and the maturity to handle it. I'm still a while to get at my age. I still think I'm 18 in my head. It's only when I walk past a Mers, that's why there's no Mers in our house. But all joking aside, it's fantastic to see. I couldn't done it. I struggle to do it now. I know, the clock's ticking on me. That's obvious. But I'm enjoying my rallying. Really enjoying my rallying. Like, again, going back till yesterday, I said to Chris on the finish ramp, I said, suck this up and enjoy it, because you never know how many you're going to get, or if you're going to get it again. It's a hard sport to win in. You need a lot of things to fall your way. There's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. You just don't go out and drive from A to B. There's a lot of shit goes on. So it's a privilege to get to win things, or to get to do well, or get to get a podium, or to get that buzz. And for me, it's about the buzz. It's that wee feeling in the back of your head going, oh, Jesus Christ, are we getting to do this?
I feel like there seems to be a fire lit in you again this year, like since you come back with Tourist Fairns, and it just seems to be a different approach to it. That's like a more relaxed.
It genuinely is. It genuinely is. You see, for a couple of years there, I've been trying to drive tidy. I've been listening to everybody and taking advice. Don't be Larry Frank. Drive tidy, go faster. Da 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 da. Now I've stopped doing that. I'm going back to being crazy Frank, and I am enjoying every minute of it while I can. It's sore in the paintwork, yes, but by Jesus, there's some fun. So I've never fallen out of love with rallying, but I've found deeper into love with it and I've said to you before, Kevin, with having Lauren in the car, it brings a new dimension to it. But, she's very like me there when we finished on Sunday, and we looked at each other and went, what a day. It wasn't, shit, we lost. It was, what a day. What a day that was, and what a battle that was. And she probably thinks back to where I told her about the battles with Adrian Hansen and Brian Lawler and Paul Barrett and stuff over the years, and Shane McGuire, and everybody, the battles, and she's now going, that's what that battle's about, that's what that feeling is. And there's nothing like it. And win, lose or draw, there's nothing like it. Now, I've said a couple of times over the weekend, some of the best memories I'll have of rallying when it's all over are the ones that get beaten in, and this will be up there.
Excellent. And Chris, from your point of view, like Frank telling you to soak all this in, are you taking the time to appreciate what's happening at the minute for you?
Yeah, actually, I was only last night. They're all on to me to go for dinner. We went for dinner after, but just after I came over the finish line, my body just, because I had nothing eating all day, and I knew there was problems in the car early in the morning, and I was just from 7 o'clock that morning till 6 o'clock till we got off the last stage. My head was just going. 7,000 mile an hour, and when I had got over the line, then when the emotions had came out, it was just body was just shut down, and just we after the podium was over, it was just I just wanted to go to sleep. There was no real celebration, but yeah, no, it's nice coming home. The boat was a good gang of us here. Rob and a couple of more of us just kind of slowly setting in that what we're after doing is done. Like
Yeah, and like as Frank mentioned earlier there too, like the Escort and rallying terms in Ireland, like you can go now to Belgium and these places and be the class of the field. Like that proves how good modified rallying is here in Ireland.
no, we definitely, without a doubt, have the best modified. I don't know. Frank can probably back me up. We definitely have the best modified race or drivers in definitely the whole entire world. Even if you look anywhere in the rest of the world, like when you go to like the Donegal and you see 52.5 Escorts. Like when we go to like the Belgium, there's like a WRC car to them. Like no, there's a couple of local boys have a lot of cars, but like they're Irishly built, like as KGP 2.5s and tractive gearboxes, the same as what we have. But there's not a variety of what we have in this country. What we have in this country, even in the R5 field, is magnificent, magnificent.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I can't even get out the words. It is very good, like, and it's a privilege to go to another country and show what the talent is in Ireland in the modified, and like to travel, especially with friends and family, is definitely great.
For sure, for sure. And like Frank, like say you'd back that up, and like when you see what Wall Creighton done at the weekend, it proves that our homegrown talent is as good as anything anywhere in the world, and we should be very proud of what we have here.
Absolutely, and there's no doubt about that. Probably the difference we have here is the depth of quality. There's fast drivers and fast cars everywhere you go, but it's the depth, of it. As Chris said earlier, there's 25 modifieds could turn up on a given day and wipe you. And that's unbelievable to have that depth of quality of car and driver. It's sometimes a bit demoralising or annoying to see how many quality drivers go to waste that never get to go that extra step. And Chris has proven what he can do. And Rob is a case in point. Rob shouldn't be in an Escort. He shouldn't be in an Escort. He shouldn't have to be in an Escort. He should be in an R5 car. He should be on the world stage. That man has more talent in his wee finger than most of us will ever have. And it's a privilege to get racing him and Chris and all them lads, but it's infuriating in another way that they're not getting to do what their God-given talents should be putting them in. Yeah. And, I don't have the answer to that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, you were going to say something there?
No, it's just great to see so when you get Rob, he's actually here looking at me now, starts walking in the chair. It's great to see to go to like a place like that. Like Rob is probably one of the best modified names in the country, without a doubt. And like to go race him, and even like say Immakelly in a place like that, and to get close to him, it's very nice. And like the quality and especially the talent the man has. And there's a rake of other like Jason Black, Eddie Doherty, Conor Murphy. There's a lot of other young lads that have the quality, but like it's great, and it'd be lovely to see if we could get more Irish back to Belgium even next year, like of all them lads and young lads and older lads. So we can't rule out the older lads, or Frank will only start getting cross.
Thanks for the brigade. I think your old fella had the right idea, and I've talked about before, is having a minimum age for getting into Escorts. We were talking about 45, maybe 55 is the best, because we keep your old fella out for a year or so. It's listen, it's good. There's no harm in it. Let it rock. You have. I think Christopher would agree with me. Christoph Jakob that runs the rally out there is a peach of a man, an absolute peach of a man. Bend over backwards to help anybody and get you there and get the rally done, and heart of a lion. And even when things went a bit pear-shaped on Saturday evening, the super special, they run into a problem where it was a daylight super special, but we're running into a problem with blockages and delays. And most of the last 5 or 6 cars of us, because it was reverse order, started in the dark, and there was a serious dust problem, so it was just a nightmare. So it threw the rally into disarray before it started the next morning with a massive gap. But we made a race out of it, and it come together, and it sort of leveled out, towards the end of the whole thing, because I was worried it was going to leave, there's no race for anybody anymore. It's 30-second gaps between everybody, and that's no crack when there's that time scale. But it leveled out, and we made a race out of it. So I think it all paid off at the finish up, and I think it was a good advertisement for the rally, the way the whole thing worked out, and the videos that are floating around and one thing and another, and the nature of the stages there is very like home, so it probably gives us a bit of an advantage over some of the lads. Like there's a lad there, I don't know, all Spanish lads are called Jesus, but this was Jesus Ferrero or something. I remember rallying against him in Spain, Escort Solo 3 or 4 years ago when he was in the BDG. I think he took 22 seconds off us in the first stage. Wiped us. Crashed on the second stage, fair enough, but he wiped us in the first stage. But he rocked up there in a state-of-the-art 2.5 modified Escort. And it was really interesting to see him there and see him going. It wasn't in the same pace as the rest of us, but he's early in the days of it, and I think he will, soon be there. Still prefers his BDG and his hitch pop and box and stuff like that. So he's probably going that way, and I'll go that way. The way it'll end up being. But it's great to see that all coming in there, going rallying. And I think because the terrain in Belgium is similar to Ireland or southern Belgium, where that rally was, it gives us the advantage of bumps and trees and obstacles, and it's not flat smooth stuff where there's no suspension travel needed. It's like some of the cars we've seen over the jump on the Super Special, Chris. Thank God it's
Dukes hazard.
If I had been the first one over the jump, because the stage was laid out the same as last year, only they changed the jump because there was a motocross outfit used it a couple of weeks before, so there's a real lip that launched the bikes up into somersaults. Well, it nearly did the same to the cars. If it hadn't run in reverse order, I would have probably broke my back and been on my roof, no doubt, over the jump, because I would have took it flat like I did last year, like we all did. So somebody was looking down us, but there was 3 or 4 Escorts that the doors wouldn't open on them when they hit the ground.
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah. So
very bad.
One of them things, there's going to be a lot of changes for that for next year. But the rally itself, the actual stages and the rally and the organisation, could not fault it.
One thing I'd like to say as well, Frank was on about Christoph. He's an unbelievable guy. The help he can give you, and if he can help you in any way, he will. And the event, the organisation in the event is magnificent. And even down to, I've laughed about the timing. They have like a clock out of a house above, and you just start laughing. But there's never there's never an issue. There's 20 houses rated from their clocks, and they have them all start at the start and the end of all the stages. If you come on and looked at it, you'd say, "Jesus, this is never ever going to work." But no, to be fair to them, give it their credit due. With me and there wasn't a second out all day with the watch and it. But when I started, when I landed at the first stage, and with this bit of a clock that you'd see up on side of a wall of a house, you just start laughing to yourself.
To be fair, it was a digital one, like.
Yeah.
But like Chris, that means an awful lot. When you're making that effort to travel that distance, to be so well looked after by the organisers and to be thought so highly of, that means that you'll want to go back there again next year and the year after and the year after.
Yeah, look, definitely, we will definitely be back there every year because they make us so, and every Irish lad, they make every competitor from every country, they make them very welcome. There's no shit with them, and if they can help you, and for us as a family, it's like a family getaway. Like there's 10 of us here on the boat, and it's a bit of a crack going out, and they're all like, "Oh, look, it's no real much longer than going to do a 2-day rally at home. You're still done Thursday and Friday. Like, fair enough, we're losing Monday. You lose Monday from work, but look, I'm home tomorrow, so that's the only difference I see than in a 2-day rally, and it's a different atmosphere with the crowd and meeting all there. You're trying to order food, even down to small stuff. It's just the handling, but sure, look, it's all part of the enjoyment and the crack of the whole thing.
Thanks there to Chris and Frank. Frank was just off the plane, and Chris was on the boat. And I would say there was a party on there as well too. So, also last weekend was the Wexford Rally. 2 days. Hard weekend rallying, 18 stages over the 2 days. Looked like a fantastic weather, like of the gods on the Saturday. Started out nice on Sunday, but then turned a wee bit wet then. But like, great to see Daniel Cronin, getting the one. What call him, James Stafford was leading initially in the Darien, and we all know how well James goes down there. But Daniel was keeping him honest. He was in front of Meirion, and then James, got into the lead now. But Daniel wasn't letting him get away with it, so it's a well-deserved one there. And then Gary Kiernan taking second in the Fiesta. he seemed to admit there the stage end interviews that he just wasn't still fully comfortable with the car. But after 18 stages, I would say he's getting closer and closer. So no doubt, watch this space for some of the R5 competitors. And then Daniel Barry and Andy Hayes taking third in Skoda as well too. So then 1 and 2 wheel drive then was Psycho making a return again as well too. So Mark Alcorn back behind the wheel of the Mark II, and we all know how hard he goes. So he'll be a force to be reckoned with once he gets his mojo fully back again as well, Conor.
No, absolutely. Listen, solid drive by Mark, really was, and good, to see him come back with a strong drive as well. But again, you mentioned Daniel, really solid. What was he? 1 minute 20. He took the rally by that's when we're used to seeing tenths of seconds here and there, that was a good solid finish by him.
For sure, yeah. And so hopefully we'll maybe try and catch up with somebody from Wexford next weekend and get their thoughts on it. But it seemed to be a very good event as always. This weekend coming up, then we have the Omagh Grand Prix, the Bushwhacker Rally, as some people call it. It probably is the highlight of all the gravel crews year. This is the Donegal for them guys. What a lineup we have for it. There's 20 plus R5 Rally 2 cars there, the cream of the two-wheel drive, and then right down throughout the field, there's 97 entries, I think it is, something like that there, which is unheard of in gravel rally. And Conor, it's going to be a cracker.
And I will, in fairness, the Bushwhacker always is a cracker. It's always a great event. It's always great stages. And what do you call it? Yeah, looking forward to this one. Should be very good. Although, looking at the forecast, the weather might play a hand.
Yeah, and then the initiative of the two stages of the night and all too. That just really will be interesting just to see how crews adapt to that. And no doubt there's been a lot of work being put in. There's probably as we speak there'll be, a few guys trying to figure out how to best approach it. So Gary Milligan from the Omagh Motorclub took the time to just give us a sort of brief overview of what we can expect at the weekend, and I think it's going to be something really, really to look forward to. So, Gary, Bushwhacker on this weekend. It's the one everybody talks about. It's the Donegal of gravel. And once again, Omagh Motor Club have pulled out all the stops and pulled together a top-class event with a top-class entry.
Yep. It's a very popular event in this part of the world, Kevin, known as the Omagh Grand Prix. And yeah, we've got a great entry. As you know, we're doing something different this year with the Friday night stages. And it's always a concern. Are you going to encourage more entries or lose entries because of the Friday night stages? But no, we've ended up with, I think it's 99 on the entry list at present, and with something like 22 R5 Rally 2 cars at the head of the field. So yeah, great response.
Yeah, and as you say, there is always that fear, but Omagh Motor Club has always been, showing initiatives. They'll run the stages one route time, and then the next pass they'll run in reverse, and always trying different things. And I suppose because forest rallying with the nature it is, you're limited to the roads. It's always good to be able to mix it up a wee bit, some way, shape, or form.
It is. Some of the younger guys in the club were keen to try out the Friday night thing. We have tried it a few times in the past. I think it's 20 years ago since the last time we ran a 2-day rally. But yeah, it's good to try different things out. And we also have a road closing order again this year, which allows us to link the two Loch Braden stages and the two Killeator stages. And that's a good help as well. It makes organising the event easier, gives the guys a bigger challenge with the longer stages.
Mm-hmm. Aye, and then having gravel tyres on a tarmac road as well too. You can that can bring its own challenges as well too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's something doesn't happen very often nowadays. There are very few mixed surface rallies, so yep, that's a bit of a challenge for the guys as well.
Yeah, and action kicks off Friday night, but there's scrutineering on Friday evening as well. And is everything all located in the one area?
It is, Kevin. The last couple of years, the rally's been based in the Showgrounds complex at the Drumquin Road in Omagh, and it's turned out to be a great venue. So, rally headquarters, the service park, scrutineering, start and finish of the rally all happen in the one venue. Scrutineering starts, I think it's about 3 p.m. on Friday afternoon. and the first car is away at 8:30 on Friday evening.
Yeah, and like that the showgrounds is such a fantastic venue for it because like it's close to the main road. It's a good surface. It's fully tarred for all the crews and all that. Good solid base. And like so, and it's only like what 20 minutes away from the stages. So really, all in all, ideal for what you need.
Yeah. It's got to the stage now, Kevin, where you nearly have to pick a service park before you pick stages, because the requirements for service area vehicles nowadays, it used to be you left room for a transit van, a rally car. Those days are gone. So you need a big service area and preferably a sealed surface service area. And the showgrounds fulfills all of those criteria, so it's the ideal venue.
Yeah, for sure. And then, as you said, the first car due to leave service in roughly about 8:30, and then two dumping stages then to, I don't know, anybody that's feeling a bit sleepy, I'll soon waking them up.
It will, yeah. I mean, the traditional Omagh stages, Carrigaholton stage, the two Loch Bradens, and the two Collider stages, and Carrigaholton's the first stage on Friday evening, and that's a great driving stage. So yeah, it'll certainly waken the guys up.
That's for sure. And that is going to provide its own challenge. Carrigaholton's a challenge in daylight, but to do it in pitch dark, it's going to be dark at 9:20 or so, isn't it? Roughly they're due in there. So
9:20, 9:25 into Carrigaholton. Yeah, we had some debate about when to start the rally, and the outcome was that we were keen that everybody did it on an equal footing, and that the early cars didn't get through maybe in dusk and the later cars in dark. It would be more of a challenge if everybody had to do it in the dark. So that's why the rally starts so late. It's to give an equal playing field for everybody and let everybody encounter the same conditions.
Yeah, and then it's equal for the guy running number 95 and his door is the same as car one. Everybody's getting the same conditions.
Yeah.
And then from Carrigaholton to go across, and it's the two Loch Braden stages then to round off the day one of the rally.
Yeah, the two Loch Bradens linked together. So first cars back into the service park about 11 p.m.
Excellent.
Restart on Saturday morning at 9:30. So.
And there's a service on Friday evening. Is there another service on Saturday morning, or do the crews just a quick tire change and back out the road Saturday morning?
No, they can service on Friday evening, and they can also service again on Saturday morning.
Okay.
With a time during the middle of the night when you're not allowed to service because we don't want to upset nearby residents.
Of course.
So I think it's 7 a.m. in the morning. You can reservice from 7 a.m. in the morning, and first car's away at 9:30. So there's plenty of time to do any work that's needed.
And then it's into the classic stages. Your Carrigaholton, your Cleaters, and your Brad, and then they go back into service again. What time roughly will they be back into service in?
Midday service is 20 to 1. First car in at 20 to 1. Kevin, it's a 1 hour service, so at 20 to 1 out at 20 to 2.
Excellent. So you encourage people to go along, have a look around, see what rallying's all about. Those maybe that's not as familiar with rallying, it's a good opportunity to see what's involved and meet some of the guys behind the wheel as well.
Yeah, again, because of the proximity of the service park to the town, we've discovered the last couple of years that you do attract a lot of non-rally core fans. You'll get fathers and mothers bringing their children along to see what the stir is. Driving past and seeing that there's an event on. So yeah, hopefully we'll attract in a lot of non-rally people and encourage them to go out and spectate and get involved in the sport.
Yeah, and the club is putting on a few spectator areas now, but all that will be in the programme, which is going to be available in the shops now in the next couple of days.
The outlets will be appear on the club's Facebook page and on the website. Mostly local service stations and newspaper shops. Programmes will be available there. They have details of the spectator areas and what you can see from them and how you get there.
Excellent, excellent. And then they go out and they do the 3 stages again, and then back to the Omagh Showgrounds for the finish. Hopefully we'll be spraying the champagne Saturday evening.
Yep. They're back about 4:45 for the finish, Kevin.
And this is it's the penultimate round of the Sligo Palace Irish Forestry Championship and the final round of the Northern Ireland Forestry Rally Challenge. So there's a lot at stake now for the crews the weekend as well too. There's going to be a lot of pride and prizes at stake as well.
Yeah, young Rand Caldwell's leading both series at the minute, but certainly in the Sligo Palace Championship, it's no foregone conclusion. There's still a tight battle on there. Mark Donnelly from Greencastle, who's in contention. He's a former rally winner. I think it was 2016 or 2017. Mark won it. Patrick O'Brien and Stephen O'Brien have won for the past 2 years, so I imagine they'll be going for a hat trick. You have Kevin McCord in there, Jason Mitchell, who's been going very well. I think he had his first rally win recently, and Dava. So there's there's going to be a lot of competition at the head of the field, and there is the local Omagh thing. All the local drivers want to win the Bushwhacker. It nearly doesn't matter what else happens the rest of the year, as long as they can get the Bushwhacker win.
Yeah, and that's amazing too. All those drivers we've named, they're nearly all within 30 miles of Omagh. That area seems to produce the hardcore gravel fans. Yes, they'll do their tarmac rallying as well, but as you say, come September, it's all eyes focused on the Bushwhacker.
Yeah. And I think it's probably because of the Bushwhacker that we're in that scenario, that there are so many successful local guys, because it is, the rally's almost going 50 years now, Kevin. The first one was 1975. And it's such a big thing about here locally that, guys will do the Bushwhacker who don't do any other events during the year. They're just so keen to get out on the whacker that that's their sole focus for the year.
And then you have legends like Robbie McGurk. The stories about Robbie McGurk doing the Bushwhacker are folklore at this stage, really now, aren't they?
Yeah. Robbie won. I've lost count. It's either 7 times or 8 times. I think it's 8, maybe. And then he also won as a co-driver with Ronnie McCartney in the early days of the rally. So he's kind of unique in that respect. He's won the rally from both seats.
Yeah, and from the club's point of view too, sponsorship is vital for to make the event viable. And you're very lucky there. You have great sponsors on board as well.
Yeah, Robert McKelvey, Darren McKelvey Asbestos. I think they've sponsored us for something like 14 years now. Been very good to us, and a great sponsor to have on board. Both of them compete in the rally as well, which is good to have.
And then I know from speaking to your chief Marshal Barry Arundel, Barry would always encourage marshals to get involved, and no better man to get onto Barry. He'll get you involved, and it's great to see Barry bringing in new blood into the sport as well.
Yeah, Barry's a great ambassador for the organising side of things, as you know. How he manages to turn up the number of people to Marshall, I don't know. Every other Saturday, Barry's out paying some club back for the help that they give him. So he's a wonderful guy in terms of recruiting people and getting involved.
And then as well, there's a whole team out there. Maybe even this evening, putting pegs into or stakes into the ground, marking out different layouts and things, and they may not even see some of the rally on Saturday. They'll be tied up doing other things, and the club needs people like that as well.
They do. I mean, the setup involved in a forestry rally in recent years is crazy, Kevin. I mean, if I go back to when I was first involved in the mid-90s, you went out, if you were the stage commander, you went out that morning and you set up the stage yourself. You banged in a lot of posts for arrows and control boards, and you maybe had somebody to help you, but there were no more than 2 of you doing it. Now there's a team of sort of 6 to 8 people out setting up from 2 weekends before, so they'll be out the Saturday and Sunday for both of the weekends before the event, and they're probably out from Wednesday this week onwards setting up. So there's a huge commitment there. We're lucky in Omagh with a good mix of people in the committee at the minute. We have the workers who do the setup that we've just described, with Barry recruiting marshals. We have a couple of young girls involved in the media side and so on of it, and we have the old hands with no eyesight and no hair like myself, who sort of look after the paperwork side of the things and the organising of it. Lewis Boyd and Ronnie McAleer, who alternating clerk of the course, both of them put a huge workload in. Derek Graham, who's the safety officer, Derek puts a huge commitment into the event. We're lucky that we have a good mix of people in that respect.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So, like, encouraging people to come out. If you're going out to watch the rally, obey the marshals, but come and enjoy the day. Yeah.
Nobody wants to spoil anybody's day, but you've got to be sensible where you stand to watch the thing. And if someone asks you to move, they're not just asking you to move for the sake of it. Those of us who've been involved in the sport for years recognise dangers that spectators don't always recognise. So we're not just trying to move you for the sake of moving you. There's a reason behind it. So yes, people would obey the marshals that are out there. It would make life a lot easier and not spoil anybody's enjoyment.
Thanks to Gary from Omagh Motorclub, and absolutely listen, sage advice at the end of that. Well, listen to the marshals, obey the marshals. It's important for that we get compliance with that to make sure rallies run safely and continue to run. And speaking of rallies that are continuing to run, this was Kevin and you and I got talking, and we had Matt Cotton on last week talking about Rally Ceredigion. And I suppose as an event and as a fairly new event, it kind of piqued our interest, and we wanted to catch up with a couple of local competitors to get their views on the event, this year's event, but also the ambitions that the event has to become part of the ERC.
Yeah, it really sort of captured my imagination. Whenever Matt mentioned it, was the Donegal of the BRC, and I thought, what's so good about this event? So I thought it was nice, to hear local guys talking about it and what it means to their area, and I think it's just a fascinating conversation. And if it does become a round of the ERC, will some of our guys be tempted to go over and have a wee rattle at it just to see how it goes? I think it would be exciting to watch and to hear how they get on.
Absolutely. Listen, it would be around the ERC on our doorstep. It'd be a shame not to get involved, and especially when you look at this year's championship, the names of ex-WRC guys who've been involved in the ERC and what they've brought to it. And I suppose as a championship, how the event is now, or the events are now being promoted, it's fantastic. I know I enjoyed when the ERC came to Ireland, and the circuit was part of that championship, and it was great to go and watch and see how our local competitors got on against the international crews.
For sure. And this year especially, we talked through the interview with the guys. This year there seems to be the local guys who were able to mix it with the top guys. This is, we keep this another drum that we're buying as well. The R5 Rally 2 cars. There's no advantage. There's no special car that they have. Everyone has the same car, so it's a talent change through. So Callum Devine can go over and compete, with an equal car to, I don't know, Mads Osberg or whoever's coming to the event. They all will be in the equal machinery.
Absolutely, it's that level playing field, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who want to go, right, let's throw it up to Mads, or let's throw it up to Hayden Padden and benchmark themselves, because again, if they're not competing in the full ERC championship, they don't have a championship to worry about. It's not about getting points on the board. They can go for it.
Yeah, because you hear how excited the two guys as that we spoke to, how they're looking forward to getting a cut at some of these guys if they do come over, and I think it's a no-brainer. I think we should have a few of our guys going over there too as well, see how they get on as well.
Absolutely. Listen, I'd love to see it, and very similar, roads and surfaces to what the guys are used to. So, we should be carrying an advantage, or our crew should be carrying an advantage into that event as well.
For sure, for sure. So I think we'll hear from Meirion and James. So we're a couple of weeks out from the Rally Ceredigion in Wales, and we thought we'd get Meirion and James on to just give us their thoughts on it. So Meirion, maybe we start with yourself. Second place overall, local event for you. You know, Matt Cotton was on last week, said it's the Donegal of the BRC. It was his standout event. What's your thoughts on your home local rally getting such high praise?
To be fair, it's justified. I think I said that phrase to Matt, to be honest, at the finish. I said, like, you know, the rally, obviously they put the itinerary out and everything, and on the Friday we had like an autograph signing and, you know, meet the crews and all that stuff there was about an hour's worth of activities before the ceremonial start. We drove over the ramp, and you know, me being from the area, I was a bit, maybe I didn't expect too much of it, you know, because, you know, rallying is in Ireland, everybody knows what kind of thing, and this is still a very new thing in Wales, but like the crowds were as big as I'd seen anyway, you know. It was phenomenal, to be fair. It was just really nice to see. I mean, the organisers behind the rally are very, very, I think, young and proactive, I think, for organisers, you know, and it showed. The rally was, you know, I would beat around the bush. It's the best one I did this year. So yeah, it's phenomenal, to be fair.
Yeah, and like for that, you know, to be the best rally you've done all year and to be, you know, half an hour from home, that makes it even that wee bit more special again.
It does, yeah, and I think it was nice. I mean, Osh, me, and James were all relatively local to the rally, so, you know, for the three of us to get a chance to race against each other on roads. Growing up, I'm sure we've all dreamt of, like, you know, probably gone down there as kids thinking, oh, it'd be awesome to drive a rally car one day, and we did. So yeah, you know, for me, I haven't had much luck on a rally before, but now, you know, it was nice to get a good run at it all, and apart from getting a puncture, and yeah, it was really, really enjoyable, to be honest.
And like James, you know, like as Meirion said there, you know, home event, you know, almost be able to go home and sleep in your own bed at night, and to be able to drive and, you know, some of the are already turned into classic stages. That's, you know, that must be a real pinch yourself moment.
Yeah, I think we've known for years, like the roads locally around in this area of Wales, at least throughout Wales, are like top notch, to be honest. And even when I've been out in Ireland or wherever I've been rallying, you know, we sort of drive on the roads to the boat, and we're like, you know, these roads would be perfect for a stage, you know. And it's just kind of surreal that now that they put that together and we're able to go rallying like at home, you know. So it's like 40 minutes for me. Yeah, it was a spectacular event. What I like about it is that they've got in the organisation of the rally, they've got a lot of people who've almost done a lot of rallying themselves, so they understand from a competitor's point of view what they need, but also from like a sponsor's point of view, the attraction, the commercial element. It just seems to be coming together nicely, and like Meirion said, they put like the autograph sign in and the ceremonial start, and although the street stage caused a few people issues with donuts, me encountered in that one. There was there was a lot of smiles, a huge amount of fans there as well watching, and that's what it's all about as well. Is bringing people to the sport, and that's the only way the sport's going to grow in Wales and in the UK in general.
Yeah, like we're seeing the videos, you know, the photographs from that town stage in Aberystwyth was, apologies for my pronunciation, probably pathetic, but you know, the crowds were unbelievable. The weather now probably obviously helped make it and all too, but this, you know, having it in the town like that, there's people going to be wandering along, you know, doing their shopping and, you know, kind of a Friday evening, Saturday morning, whatever, and see this and stop and look. And that could be the next Meirion Evans or the next James Williams could be sitting in a pram there watching that.
Yeah, 100%. I think even just walking sort of back through the streets to the service area after the rally, there's so many people interested and wanted to talk, and that's sort of where I started rallying, is watching, you know, the likes of, well, even Oshin and Tom Cave and those guys. When I started off, they were sort of at the peak. So it's nice to be racing people like Oshin now. But yeah, like just asking them questions. I think there's a story when in Mid Wales 2016, I was trying to just do anything to be part of the BRC or be a part of the Spencer Sport team it was at the time. And Oshin was driving I think it was a Mitsubishi Mirage. He was driving on that rally, and I actually drove the Spencer Sport bus, basically taking them back and forth to the hotels and to Park Ferme. And that was the way I started to get to know Oshin, and I was only like 17 then. So to actually be racing him on home roads in a similar car was pretty surreal at the weekend. So yeah, like you say, really, really special.
Excellent. Conor, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, and I suppose just generally, you know, we know for the last few years there's been no WRC Wales event. So I suppose the fact that this rally is looking to get into the ERC and hopefully will be there next year. I mean, does that help raise the profile? Does it help encourage the sport? Like how healthy is rallying in Wales at the moment?
I think Wales, where we're from, West Wales especially, I think rallying is loved. I mean, the road rally scene, at night is absolutely booming. I think it's ever been as strong, and it's starting now with this rally. I mean, the thing, like James said, in this part of the world, we have the roads, and I mean, like the 17-mile we ran this year, I think had like 6 junctions in it or something. I mean, it's just, I guess it's quite easy for them to organise. I mean, not too many residents on the road. You drive that 17 miles is unreal, So, but yeah, on the whole, I think the sport is growing. I think to get it to where it should be in the UK will probably take a few years. But what this rally has done in a very short space of time has shown, I think, that nothing's impossible. And I think with a bit of ambition and a good team, I think anything's possible. And if it gets into the ERC next year, which I think it fully deserves, then it'll be very, very good for the sport in the UK as a whole. To be fair.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think the only other thing is just that's been quite good from the rally's perspective, because there's sort of 4 or 5 clubs involved from across our sort of area in Wales. Is that they're taking on feedback every year from the competitors, from the residents, from people in the local areas, and that's what allows you to go rallying, because everyone's sort of on board with it. And I think that's been key going forwards. I mean, I know there's obviously the odd one or two that are a bit disgruntled when the rally goes past, but we try to be as respectful as possible when we're passing their houses, and everyone just takes that little bit more care with those things when it's in this stage of growing, So yeah, I think if it does get to the ERC next year, it'll be really spectacular. I think it's a perfect location, and the guys involved in the rally will transform it.
And James, road closing in the UK, like that's a recent phenomenon. I think it's 3 or 4 years old, is it? Are you surprised how quickly Rally Ceredigion has come to the fore?
I am surprised how quickly it came to the fore, but also kind of not as well, because I know the guys that are involved, and they've all got massive ambition with it. They've got the right attitude. The people involved from the club's perspective to actually make the rally happen. I know a lot of those people, again, through road rally sort of meets and things like that. It's generally those people that are putting the event together. So on that respect, I kind of don't really see how I expected it to grow quickly, but maybe not as in terms of the commercial element and what they've done with, say, hospitality and the amount of stages they need to pull together. And like Meirion said, the 17-mile stage this year was incredible. I think I described it as bonkers after the stage. Like, I've never driven anything so crazy and fast at the end. So the sky's the limit with it.
The end of the 17-mile was quite funny, because like my car, it just goes we go over the finish, and JJ just burst out laughing. I mean, it was the craziest last 5-6 miles. It was just unreal, to be fair.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you come down the side of the mountain and it's just flat?
Oh, an ocean, but it's like we wrecked it, and we were like, this is a bit wild. But when you drove it was really wild.
The worst thing about it was we had to wreck it 30 miles an hour, so it was like coming at 120 on the limiter was like pretty heavy. So it's like hoping that every note was perfect, so that was tricky.
And that is like, isn't that the total joy of rallying? Making a note at 30 miles an hour and putting your complete faith in them at 120 miles an hour, and whatever your co-driver Di Roberts or JJ is telling you, that is, you drive to that note.
Yeah, it scares them a bit at times, I think.
I think if I don't listen to Di on the best of days, whether it's rallying or just driving to the shop, I'm in trouble anyway. So
yeah, I'd say Di is a bit more of I'd say he could bully James a bit more than JJ could bully me. But I think the ambition of the organisers is just, if you look at that stage, I think there's probably a lot of organising teams will have looked at that bit of road and said, nah, we'll just leave it at like 10 miles. But I think what Andrew said to me was, well, you're going to have to drive to the road section anyway, so you might as well rally it. And you can't argue that, really, can you?
Yeah. And that goes back to probably what James said earlier. This is a rally organised for by competitors for competitors. They would know the buzz and the excitement you're going to get out of taking that at competitive speeds, and they want to include that.
Yeah, and like I thought it was quite an interesting kind of 5 miles as well, because you're going that fast. You weren't actually on. It's strange. You weren't actually on a limiter that much, because some of the corners you were having to lift, because you couldn't fully see around them, and you're doing 120 mile an hour, and you never, I don't think I've ever gone into so many corners at 110, 115 mile an hour on a rally before, So, nobody really done it before, and it was all new. So, yeah, I think I was only on the limit for probably like 5 or 6 seconds, So you're always driving.
Feel sorry for him because he's been in the car 3 years in that car. I pulled out of that car on the Wednesday night and went for it, so I didn't really know what it was going to do.
But like James, is that surreal? Putting your total commitment. We've always talked in this rally, the podcast before about what these R5s can do in Rally 2 cars. Like the limit to them is way beyond what us normal people can comprehend. It must be fascinating to feel that limit.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, for me, I've done a lot of, like, I've just been jumping from rally to rally in different cars, and you never really get to the limit of the car. You always, like, at the end of the rally getting somewhere with it. So, like, I finished quite strong on Rally Ceredigion, and like I wanted another sort of loop of stages really to try and get a little bit more speed, and the amount of changes we made with it as well to get it closer to being comfortable but almost less risk. But then the speed was coming as well, so it was, yeah, the cars are incredible, and like most people don't get anywhere near the limit on them, but I think you see it in the Irish tarmac so much, like that there's probably 10 or 12 people that are on like near enough the limit in some stages where maybe they've done it a few years in a row. It's starting to get like circuit racing almost, and everyone's like flat out on the limit, and that's when it gets seriously quick. So yeah, the Irish Tarmac Championship's #1 to see that really.
Conor, you want to jump back in there again?
Yeah, I suppose again going back, and I know when the ERC came to Ireland and with the circuit was part of that, it kind of lifted the game across the board. Do you feel that's the same yourselves? And that piece, is it the road back for the UK to getting a WRC event?
I don't know. WRC is another level again, I think, and it's very hard to know. I think that's probably more of a governing body thing rather than ambitious organisers and stuff like that. But yeah, the WRC, I don't know. It seems tougher with the WRC at the moment as well. With what do they want in terms of surface? But yeah, obviously my co-driver is pretty involved in that stuff, but I don't think he can tell me everything. So.
Yeah, I think I'd say the same, to be honest. It's still a long way away from that, but I think it shouldn't be sort of clouded by that thought of bringing WRC back either. It's its own entity to something else. It's something exciting that we should all champion as drivers in Wales, and that's sort of the vision I see with it anyway. Just see how far it can go, and if it can bring more people into the sport, then who knows, in a few years, 5-6 years, it may be part of a bigger championship. But ERC for sure is a big step already. So let's see.
Yeah, you asked James, I think, would you have seen the rally getting to where it did in this space of time? Like for me in 19, realistically, I'd have said not a chance, because it's unheard of for a rally to go from absolutely nothing, to European Championship if it happens in, what is it? I think next year will be the 4th running of the event. So it's crazy to think, really, but yeah, it can only be good if it does happen.
Yeah, and when you even look at the ERC now this year, like the level of interest in it now, like you have, Mickelson done a few rounds, Osberg, and the fact that the R5 Rally 2 cars are running at the front of the field as well, it's like a no-brainer for the likes of just guys, local guys. If that rally comes there next year with all the ERC, you just have a chance of going there and competing in the same terms. You won't going to get that chance at a WRC level.
No, not the same anyway. I mean, this year's European champion won Rally Ceredigion last year, and to be fair, on that day, Ocean was pretty close to him before we told him to slow down and win the British Championship. So, there were other things at stake that day, to be fair. So, and it proved this year that me and James, we both, I think we both won as many stages as Ocean. We both had, a bit of bad luck on the second stage, and that, I think, ultimately kind of led him away. But so yeah, I think there's a good few drivers in Wales. Even like Matt and Tom weren't doing the rally. They're two guys as well that could probably, race, at a good level if that came to town. So there's quite a bit of talent in our area as well, to be fair. So it'd be interesting if it came, and I think I said at the end of the last stage, it would be brilliant to go and race against those European guys.
Yeah, it definitely would be like a big opportunity for myself, Meirion, others in the woodwork that are sort of probably watching close by, ready to come back and make a comeback. For example, Matt, I was talking to him earlier actually, and he was saying that he's hungry to come back. So I said to him, we better start saving some pennies. Yeah, I think just number one, to compete at ERC level before like even looking at the competitors, is you do need to have some knowledge of the events. Like you can't, you don't see many people going and winning events without doing them previously or having experienced those roads. So number one, like for us, that's really good. If it comes to the Rally Ceredigion, we've got that experience, and two, just to compete at that level with those lads, they're the sort of ERC is almost like one of the most competitive in Rally 2 machinery in the world, I would say, even versus WRC 2. So yeah, if it comes next year, what a challenge for guys like us, local guys, to go and see what we can do against those lads. And that's certainly my aims for next year. To see if we can do it, and hopefully the rally gets there as well.
Yeah, because like you mentioned there, like a lot of the ERC rounds, like Hayden hadn't finished second to a local guy. He was bringing the knowledge. So like knowledge counts for an awful lot there, really, doesn't it?
I mean,
knowledge.
Hayden's won one rally this year, and that was fast at start there. Every rally after, I mean, he's come second a lot to like local guys. So, and I think what we've got as well is the terrain in the UK and Ireland as well is really, really unique. Whereas if you go to, I think you look at Bonato one in Canaries this year, because the tarmac is quite smooth, and obviously Southern France is relatable, really, but there's not much that really relates to the roads in this country. I mean, engineers will tell you maybe that like Barham and stuff is similar in terms of setup, but still the profile of the roads and everything is so different. So it's going to be if those boys come over, it's very different. But at the end of the day, like they're class drivers as well, so I'm sure they can adapt.
And like Meirion, you've had your years now in Irish tar. Is it even the roads in Ceredigion area? Are they a different profile again, or is there similarities?
I think the bulk of it is quite similar. You look at it and you can see geographically it's not massively different, but there's some different things. I mean, and even in Wales, like my area in Wales, I find the roads are quite different to like up around Aberystwyth area. I find the stages they used the first couple of years in Rally Ceredigion were very, very technical and very, very tricky. Whereas this year they moved, apart from probably one stage, to more kind of flowing route, and I thought it was much nicer. The Sunday this year especially was brilliant, I thought. But I think setup wise and stuff, it's not miles away and stuff like that. So quite relatable, really. And very, very, very good roads, to be fair. We have the best in West Wales, that's for sure.
And James, like from your point of view, you drove a Hyundai last year, and from the opportunity to come up again, you went back to Hyundai again. You felt it suited your style and those roads, and that was the car you wanted for that combination.
Yeah, I've done a bit of work with Hyundai UK this summer, just like Goodwood and a few things. So I started creating a good relationship with those guys. Obviously, I drove the Ford for the first 3 rallies, I think it was. Still like looking at other opportunities and things, and the Ford thing's still on the table, really. But it just didn't seem to work out. And obviously, I had the setup from the year before with the Hyundai, so it just sort of came together nicely. And when I went to Ypres in Belgium, I sort of met a couple of guys that were FS Sport, and so I started talking to those guys. And Meirion didn't have a Polo for me, so I had to look elsewhere, and I got those guys across. And to be fair, they did a really good job. I think Meirion knows the engineer Flo. He's a very nice guy. The car was absolutely perfect all weekend as well, apart from the damage I caused to it. But yeah, it's tricky. You have to have something that's competitive, but you kind of want the experience of the car. And it was a combat of whether I go still with the Ford or do I swap and get familiarity with setup, but not have driven the car in 12 months. So I gambled, and I think for the most part of the rally it paid off. We had some really good speed on the Sunday, even on the Saturday in places we were quick, but we just was missing a bit of confidence, and that just comes with time in the car. So hopefully I get a bit more seat time going forwards, and we'll see what we can do.
Excellent. And Meirion, from a business point of view, 4 cars out in the rally, 4 cars finished in the top 8. You just have to be very happy with that.
Yeah, it was brilliant, to be fair. I looked at the 4 cars in the tent on Friday afternoon, and I said, if these 4 could get to the end, it would be something, It's always tough. I mean, sort of what's ahead of you, and to be fair, Kev hasn't done much in the car as well, and yeah, so just to get the four to the end, all with really good results. I think Gary second in the BRC. I think he's fifth overall, and Kev in the other car was third in the Pro Tire Championship as well. So for a guy with quite low experience, and Gary's kind of rebuilding confidence after the Jim Clark earlier this year as well. So everyone had a good weekend really, and it was really good for us just to get the four cars to the end. No major damage either, which was good. Me and Osh I gave something a bit of a clip, and Osh gave something else a bit of a clip. But if that's all it is, we can live with it. And yeah, the body shop hasn't been too busy in the weeks after.
If the ERC does come call next year, obviously you will be doing the event. Would you encourage some of our guys over here in Ireland to go over and give it a go as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be great with a shoe on the other foot just to see how it goes. They can come to our back garden for a change. I mean, we've been going to Ireland for years and years, so it'd be great. I mean, like I said, the roads aren't massively different, so I'm sure the likes of Callum, Josh, and them they'd adapt to it pretty quickly. But it would be good to see them over.
Yeah, I think they'll adapt, like you said, Meirion. I think they'll adapt pretty quick. There's probably no adaptation really. It's fairly similar.
Yeah.
But I think they're probably itching, having seen the weekend, to come next year. To be honest, I can't see them not wanting to do it. So it makes sense to get more drivers in that sort of spectrum to come across and compete. And I think as an event goes, it's one of the best ones to do. So yeah, it makes sense. It's a bit of a no-brainer, I think, for them to come across and have a go.
And as a way of encouraging more competitors in the BRC, do you think that would help as well? Would it attract more, people then to maybe benchmark themselves against the European guys?
Yeah, I think from the BRC perspective, it's quite a big topic. There's obviously not that many entries in some of the rallies, and it's probably a bigger issue than what we want to talk about here. But for sure, if there's people to benchmark against and there's prizes involved, and there's a competitive championship, then and good coverage for sponsorship and all these things, I think that it's a no-brainer. That they're the main key factors that you need as a young driver, as someone trying to prove themselves, or someone in the Premier level. I've moved up to the Premier level, and I still believe that. And as you've seen on the weekend, Meirion's at the top of the Irish Tarmac Championship. I've sort of been battling at the top of the British Championship. The pace is thereabouts exactly the same almost. With maybe Adrian's a little bit further ahead, but I think just generally it just needs a bit more kind of buffing or beef in the championship, really. A few other entrants, and a rally like this could almost draw some of the Irish guys over to try. I know they have done it in the past. I've seen Josh compete in the British Championship. There's been quite a few guys, so who knows what's going to happen. But I'm sure the event will see some of the guys come over. Like I said, it's a bit of a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah, because if you see Adrian coming there to the Ulster, it probably wasn't spoken out loud, but the guys wanted to see where they were at against him, see how close they could get to him. And I think that Meirion, I don't know, did you feel that you wanted to maybe not prove a point with the wrong term, but did you want to compare yourself against the works driver?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to get someone at that level just to see how he got. Obviously, I didn't last too long on that rally, so I don't really know still. But still, it was good to see the boys took a few stages off him and stuff. So you kind of know what you're capable of then, because you raced and beaten them boys at some point in the year as well. So yeah, you get that level of driver is always going to bring people in. And I think on a BRC topic, I mean, I think the Tarmac Championship is so strong because there are so many good rallies in Ireland. Very good rallies, and I think the sooner we get some really good rallies in the UK, I think the British Championship result will grow because of that. So, if people want to come and do Rally Ceredigion, they might say, "Oh, I want to register for the BRC and give that a shot." Maybe if we have 2 or 3 of those rallies, then I think it'll open the door to the championship a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with that. Definitely, it is all about the rallies, and that's probably where we're lacking. And that's no disrespect to any others. It is just like the wow factor of Rally Ceredigion refreshes you to what you want as a driver, as a competitor, as a championship, and if we can get more following, more rallies like that in the British Championship calendar, then I'm sure it'll prosper.
Yeah. And James, putting our Irish hat on here, you've seen the videos, you've seen you spoke to Meirion and the other guys. Would it be something that would interest you to come over and do the likes of you've done West Cork, previous times, but could you see you in Galway or Donegal or something like that?
Oh, I definitely want to have a go at some point. I just, for me, I've got a goal of just trying to, try and get to the European scene and try and prove myself against these guys we talked about. And I don't know whether that's the right step. With the budget that I've got to be really selective. So it is difficult for sure. Next year, I'm trying to plan to do a few events at, those rallies are just spectacular. You can see from the outside, and everyone raves about them. And I just think that it's incredible to have those rallies in Ireland. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have a go. I just don't know whether at the minute it's the right step for me in terms of where I want to go. So yeah, bit of deliberation to do, but I'm sure I'll be itching next year when the entries come out.
So exciting times ahead there for Rally Ceredigion. I think that's looking really, really, really good. So that was season 2, episode 28. The episode that we got speaking to 2 world champions. Brilliant. I think we'll remember that one, Conor, for a long time to come. Can you please like, share, rate, subscribe, all those things makes a huge difference. You keep doing what you're doing. It's really appreciated. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.